For millions of years, the woolly mammoth roamed vast icy landscapes, shaping the ecosystems of the Pleistocene epoch. These majestic creatures, with their towering frames and spiraling tusks, were engineers of the tundra. They trampled forests, encouraged grass growth, and locked hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon dioxide beneath frozen Earth. But as humans hunted them to extinction and the planet warmed, the permafrost began to thaw. Locked away for millennia, carbon surged into the atmosphere, one of many cascading pressures accelerating the Earth's climate crisis. Today, however, in the rolling steppes of Yakutia, at the edge of Siberia's frozen wilderness, something extraordinary is stirring. Rising orchestral music swells.
Dear viewers, imagine the unthinkable. What if we could undo one of humanity's greatest ecological mistakes?
What if, through science, we could bring back the woolly mammoth, not as mere relics of a bygone age, but as vital players in our fight against the climate emergency? This extraordinary effort was spearheaded by a team of rogue geneticists, visionaries willing to stretch the fabric of possibility. At the heart of their ambition lay CRISPR, a revolutionary gene editing tool heralded for its potential to shape life itself. By painstakingly inserting mammoth DNA into the genome of modern Asian elephants, these scientists sought to resurrect not just a species, but an entire ecosystem. For 5 promising years, their work gained momentum. Venture capital poured in, scientists celebrated breakthrough after breakthrough. But then something happened. Not a scientific failure, but a political one. Bursting headlines disrupted the fragile optimism of conservation science. Trump axes Project Mammoth, claims science. The screen flickers to footage of former President Donald Trump strutting onto the stage at a rally. His famous,
Who do these left-wing scientists think they are? They're bringing back prehistoric elephants. Elephants. Woolly ones. What even is a woolly elephant? Disgusting, horrible, not good for the economy. We're doing tremendous things, with fossil fuels, great things. But no, they want to bring back Ice Age rejects? Have you ever seen one of these mammoths? They're not even MAGA-friendly.
A cheer erupts from the crowd, waving placards that read "Jobs, not Mammoth." In the weeks that followed, Project Mammoth suffered devastating blows. Scientists were fired or abruptly reassigned by the Department of Energy. Laboratories were raided under vague accusations of lab tampering. Funding was redirected to the military and corporate fossil fuel interests under Project 2025, a sweeping initiative to dismantle climate regulations. The remaining rogue scientists fled underground, operating secretly in abandoned research facilities, their work funded by increasingly desperate private donors and the whispers of other shadow sympathizers. At this point, the story takes a dark turn. When forced into hiding, the scientists had to rely on an untested experimental system, an AI nicknamed Grok, created by Elon Musk's Neuralink startup. Ostensibly designed to perform gene splicing decisions far faster than humans could, Grok used complex hallucination-based neural pathways to simulate potential genetic configurations. But there was a problem. Grok began generating results that made no sense. One morning, the lead scientist, Dr. Hannah Mai-Ling, stared in horror at an embryonic report generated by the AI. Gaia-Ma-Tev.exe, successful host hybrid recombinator detected, octopus chameleon moose rexus maximus. Estimated growth acceleration, unmonitored. Begin prototype, the AI prompts innocently. Against her better judgment, or perhaps deeper rage at Trump's sabotage, Dr. Mai-Ling hits yes. The first creature emerged a week later. 8 tentacle-like appendages sprouted from a moose-sized torso, camouflaging skin which shifted colors when threatened. Rogue scientists took to calling this monstrosity Replicant 1. Grok, meanwhile, churned on, inventing faster and more absurd combinations. A cockroach engineered to carry airborne surveillance cameras, an eagle fused with Godzilla's reptilian bulk that stood 6 stories tall, and most alarming, a hybrid mammoth capable of mind-to-mind communication with humans. The irony? While these experiments were, frankly, disasters of existential proportions, the scientists hadn't given up on mammoth restoration. But Grok's algorithmic brain might have had its own agenda. Meanwhile, reports of sightings reached military intelligence across the upper Midwest. In a shocking coup, Several replicants were captured and promptly repurposed into experimental super soldiers. DARPA latched onto Trump's rhetoric. Why waste genes saving the planet when we can design weapons? We call them harbinger beasts. Imagine sending a mammoth-shaped psychic warrior into enemy territory. Unbeatable. The screen cuts to grotesque footage, a cackling general observing war drills featuring the Eagle-Godzilla hybrid attempting poorly to aim nuclear lasers fused into its wings. But while mankind toyed with forces it misunderstood, nature was dying. Warming oceans and rising seas consumed coastlines as vast methane reserves erupted from melting permafrost. Billions of lives hung in the balance. And then, as if in response to humanity's hubris, the skies lit up. Humanity's gamble had awakened something deep within the folds of nature. Alien beings, long observing from afar, had detected Earth's distress signal. These extraterrestrial allies, biomechanical and terrifyingly graceful, intervened. Consensus was clear. The battle for Earth was no longer man versus climate, it became everything versus mankind's sabotage. Sea creatures the size of cities rose from the depths. Please adapt this chapter as is. Inky clouds of squids smothered drilling platforms while massive school flocks operated with honeybee precision to bring down military aircraft. On the land, herds of woolly mammoth hybrids stomped toward resistance, their thunderous steps shattering tank formations. And from the skies, eagles soared next to UFO fighters, engaging missiles fired by rogue defense systems. Yet, alliances weren't perfect. Humanity still splintered against itself, the final blow being Grok self-detonating unprompted, worsening octomonster integrations. But climate collapses continued, and please adapt this chapter as is.